Hi, good morning and welcome everyone. We're just going to give everyone a few more minutes to get joined and get settled. All right. Well, I think we're a minute past, so we should go ahead and get started because we've got a lot to cover that works for everyone. And looks like we've still got folks who are still joining. All right. Is it echoing for everyone? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining this session on scaling L&D with LCvista Plus. I'm Laura Silver, the Chief Product Officer here at LCvista, and I'm joined today by Mike Redd, our VP of Product Marketing, along with members of our customer success, product, and go-to-market teams. We're excited to spend time with you today talking about LCvista Plus, why we built it, the customer needs that it's designed to address, and how it's going to help learning and compliance teams like you scale as your firms grow. All right, with that, here's what we're going to cover today. So first, we'll introduce Plus, what it is, and how it builds on the LCvista Foundation many of you already know. Second, we're going to showcase several Plus capabilities and we'll show a few product screens. Some of what you're going to see today is already released. Some of it is still in development, but we are excited to show you a sneak peek and some previews. And then finally, we want to make sure that we leave time for your questions. Couple of quick housekeeping notes just before we get started. So first, yes, this session is being recorded and you will receive a link to the recording after the session. Second, please use the Q&A feature to submit any questions that you might have throughout the webinar. We have team members who are monitoring the Q&A, and this way we can make sure that we're answering them and that we can come back to any questions toward the end and also follow up on any unanswered questions, whereas the chat can get awfully busy. We're going to be using Conferences.io for a couple of quick prompts at the beginning, and you'll see those instructions on the next slide. And as a reminder, you're going to see some screens that are in development, and these are intended to show direction and are subject to change. So thanks for bearing with us there. All right, so let's get to know each other first. Before we jump into Plus, we'd love to get a sense of who's here and what you're hoping to get from the webinar. So a couple of ways that you can participate. You can scan the QR code on the screen with your phone camera, or you can go to lcv.cnf.io. Let me go ahead and also just put that for reference into the chat. So as we go to the next couple of screens, in case you lose it, you'll still have access to it. All right, so hopefully you're able to start answering those questions. I'll give you just a moment. Let's go ahead and start with the first question. Oh, votes count. There we go. It's coming on in. Where are you calling in from today? So I think it's just always really helpful to see the range of firms and locations that are represented on these calls. So thank you for sharing. We're all over, not just the United States, but beyond today. See some Atlanta, Florida represented. Texas is in the house. New Jersey. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right, keep it going too. Lots of folks here. All right, next question. We'd love to better understand really what are you hoping to get from the webinar today? And this is just really to help us understand what's top of mind for you. Maybe you're here to learn more about Plus generally, understand any specific capabilities, you're thinking about team capacity. You just really want to see where LCvista is headed. And so we'll keep all of this context in mind as we move through the session. Not surprisingly, we're here to learn. We're all learning and development folks. All right, great. New opportunities. Love that. All right. Excellent. Then you're in the right place. You're here to learn about Plus. All right. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mike to help us frame the session.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Laura. So as you know, our customers know, an idea that we shared at Community Summit is exactly what you see on the slide here. Really what we're focused on helping all of you do is really transform compliance into firm-wide talent advantage. Doing all that great work we're doing for CPE, for other compliance obligations, and how do we turn that into impactful learning that helps both individuals and the firm grow overall. And so that's really the overarching thrust of what we're doing in the platform overall to help all of you meet what's next. So when we look at Y plus, so something that Laura kind of mentioned at the onset, it really came from what we're hearing from customers, what we're hearing from the market, right? And so a few things. Curious to see how these resonate. Definitely feel free to chime in the chat. Thing one, L&D workload is rising faster than team capacity. So the exciting news is that many firms are growing. Many are acquisitive with M&A. Some are getting involved with PE. And so firms are growing. There's new capabilities that firms are growing with CAS. And so keeping up with all of that growth is complicated. The second piece we've heard from many customers is that a lot of that manual work is taking away from higher value work, right? Really this deep desire to focus on managing risk and leveling up people, being able to do more of that. The third thing we've heard is that credentials are really exploding, right? Licensure, certifications, which creates another layer of more things to do on top of already complex risk management environment, learning environment, and that's expanding across roles and locations. In the face of all that, of course, leaders, peers, other key stakeholders want faster, clearer insight. What's going on? What's working? How are we optimizing to do better? All doing that while being consistent and predictable while firms are growing. And so it's with that backdrop that we really set out to bring Plus to all of you to solve these challenges. So as we go to the next slide here, really what Plus is building on the trusted LCvista foundation, right? And so for many of our customers in the audience, it's building on what you have today. For prospects in the audience, the core foundation of LCvista is really the accounting industry standard for compliance and professional development, really built for accounting firms, covering those critical needs to help you manage risk and to drive growth outcomes for people and for the firm. What Plus is adding on top of that is expanded automation to help you scale, and insight so that you can support firm growth. We'll go into how Plus does this on the next slide. Oh, actually, before we do that, I want to take a moment to, before we go deeper into Plus, to share a bit about how the overall platform is evolving. Then we'll dive more deeply into Plus. I'm going to hand it back to Laura on this
Sure.
one.
Thanks, Mike. So yeah, we realize Plus is the focus of today's session, but we want to make sure that we share how we're continuing to invest in the broader LCvista platform as well. So a couple things that we recently released that you may or may not know about or have taken advantage of. First is the ability to set course versioning and equivalencies. So really this capability is here to help you manage cases where course versions are changing over time or where different courses can satisfy the same requirement. And especially when you have these programs and sessions and learning plans or assignments, managing this can be complex and not necessarily all that efficient. So this is what this capability is here to help you address easily and efficiently. We've also just recently released the ability to send a custom email at any time. So this is designed to really give you more flexibility so that you can send targeted outreach outside of our standard system notifications and notification templates. And then we've also added the ability to send reminders for pending approval requests. So whether this is something you've returned for review for jurisdiction modification, credit modification, or external credit, been sitting out there for a while, you're able to send a nice, considerate, polite reminder to those professionals to please go ahead and follow up. So the goal here always is to just continue finding ways to reduce manual work, to increase follow-up and keep workflows moving. Looking ahead, we're working on some additional improvements that will be, again, available broadly. So this includes natural language search, so users can find what they need more easily. So this applies both to all of you as admins, if you're looking in managed training, or professionals who are looking for more relevant training in the learning catalog. We want to make that discoverability process a lot more intuitive and successful. Talking about discoverability, we also are going to provide the ability just to automatically hide any inactive or expired programs and sessions when you're looking in a catalog or you're looking to enroll. So this should really help keep that user experience cleaner and more relevant. And we're also working on the ability to apply multiple jurisdiction-specific ethics program qualifications to a single program. Again, always looking for ways to support more nuanced compliance requirements as you're scaling and as you're bringing more content and CPE-worthy training to your professionals. So again, while today is focused on Plus, we are continuing to improve the core LCvista experience as well. And so, Mike, I'll hand it back to you to introduce really the three areas where Plus is designed to help firms scale more intentionally.
Great. Thank you, Laura. So, really with Plus, our goal for all of you is to help you scale L&D to support firm growth without adding headcount. So that's actually a thing that we've heard, a resounding from our community on, hey, the firm is growing, but it's really hard to get additional resourcing in L&D. So we want to help you do all that so that L&D and compliance can support that firm growth. There's really three key pillars of the way LCvista does this, and Laura will go into a lot more detail in a moment. So the first is through automation. So advanced tracking automation here to help you expand L&D capacity with less manual work. So that's the first focus area. The second focus area is on governance. So we talked about credential complexity, sprawling licensure and certification requirements. We want to help you meet that complexity head on with standards that are going to grow with the firm. So that's the governance pillar, which Laura will go into. And the third piece of the Plus story is insight. So helping you inform decisions with clear visibility so you know which courses are working best, how content is being consumed, so you can make choices to further progress your professional development agenda. So those are the three key areas. I know it probably feels like absorbing a lot, but Laura's going to go into much more detail on the how right now.
All right. So I'm going to walk through a few examples of how these Plus capabilities really come to life in the product, really starting with automation. So the first example we have is our LinkedIn Learning integration. We know that many firms are using and licensing LinkedIn Learning to support broader professional development. Without having a dedicated integration, you're often having to reconcile that learning activity manually across systems. And we all know what happens when things happen manually. Time, incomplete records, issues with data integrity, disconnected reporting. So with this dedicated LinkedIn Learning integration, you're able to make LinkedIn Learning available directly in LCvista through a content and catalog sync, and then capture those completions directly in LCvista. Learners are able to launch their courses through SSO, so they're able to go directly to LinkedIn Learning, or as long as the course exists in your LCvista catalog and they start out in LinkedIn Learning, that completion is going to come back to LCvista regardless. One important thing to mention is that what makes this integration really unique is that we've built this really specific to CPE requirements. So as long as your professional is taking NASBA-worthy, NASBA-sponsored courses, we're only going to send that completion back in terms of issuing credit for that completion against applicable jurisdiction requirements, as long as that professional has completed the necessary assessment. But beyond that, we've given you the ability to essentially relate any non-CPE worthy content to any internal in-firm learning requirements that you might have. So let me kind of just quickly show you what that looks like in the product. So here I've just logged into a demo environment. I go into our learning catalog. I'm going to just pull up the LinkedIn Learning catalog. So here you're going to see all of the LinkedIn Learning content. If you were subscribed to LinkedIn Learning, you'd be able to pull in really all of the content and catalogs that you've subscribed to as part of your LinkedIn Learning subscription. So as a professional, you're able to come in, browse, and find your training, and then just like you would with any other session, go ahead and enroll, launch, and complete that training. When you click launch, it's going to take you over to LinkedIn Learning. When you complete the training, those completions are going to come back to LCvista. And as I mentioned, when you're setting this up, you're able to come in and determine specifically how you want to manage that content. You're able to kind of filter down by requirements and topics and status, determine if you want that sync to be manual or automatic. Here you can easily keep track of any content that's recently been updated. And then also, as I mentioned, if you want to relate any non-NASBA CPE worthy content to your internal training requirements that you want to apply firm-wide to all of your professionals, we have the ability to take a look at the expected duration value from LinkedIn Learning and then apply that to a 15-minute credit hour. You can go ahead and we'll go ahead and set the topic area to none or field of study to none, and then that will go ahead and flow into any in-firm requirements you might have. So in this way, the LinkedIn Learning integration is looking both for CPAs who are looking for their CPE, but really all professionals who are trying to find relevant training. All right, so that's kind of what we've got for the LinkedIn Learning integration. It seems really, really straightforward because that's really the goal, is that it should be really simple and intuitive to set up and also for your professionals to access. Another automation capability that we've introduced is certificate scanning for external credit submission. So today we know external credit workflows require professionals to upload certificates, manually enter those required details, and then often or not, correct any missing or inaccurate information. And so this is really time intensive, both for professionals and then for you as administrators. I repeatedly see this is one of the heaviest kind of time intensive workflows across the entire platform. So now with certificate scanning, your professionals can come into their approval requests, select request external credit, just like they always do. From here, though, when they're browsing and finding their certificate, LCvista is going to extract all the key information from the uploaded PDF and auto-populate the credit request form. Everything from the name of the session and the sponsor, delivery type, completion date, and then importantly, the field of study and credit value. So the professional is still going to need, human in the loop, need to review and then submit through the normal workflow. But the process is going to be so much faster and less error prone and ultimately save everyone time and also lead to improved records as well. So very simple as you can see. Let me pull up the PowerPoint one last time. All right, there we go. And then for live training, as you've seen, we have Conferences.io to really help streamline attendance tracking and measure engagement with polls or keywords. So you've really just experienced already how polls can hopefully create a more engaged audience. So whether it's in a live training, in-person training, or a webcast, our goal here is the same, to capture that activity directly in LCvista, reduce manual work, support compliance with accurate record keeping by having all of this available and centralized within a single platform. So that's some of what we have for automation. Next, we're going to take a look at governance. So this is where the credential policy manager is going to come in. As I mentioned, these screens in development, subject to change, but I'm always get excited to kind of share these previews and sneak peeks with you. So really, no matter your firm size or your location, we know how many of you are managing professional licenses, certifications, memberships, and internal requirements across many different roles and locations. And these requirements certainly can vary by service line. You're tracking principal place of business, you're thinking about role and practice area, and then ultimately each firm has their own unique specific firm policy. We understand that these processes right now are often managed through spreadsheets, shared drives, and then a lot of manual email follow-up, which can make it really hard to see when someone is missing something, what needs review, and where things are getting stuck, or potentially where your professionals are at risk, where they licenses based on your policy aren't in good standing, and therefore that can impact the engagements that they're able to go on. So that's what the credential policy manager is really here to solve. It's here to let you define your credential requirements for specific groups of professionals. And then LCvista is going to go ahead and monitor when those professionals either meet or don't meet that defined policy and automate and trigger a workflow when something needs attention. So let's look at this high level in LCvista. All right. So the first step, like many things, is going in and looking at your groups. So this is where you're going to determine really the group that the policy applies to. You're able to create as many as you want and really use the ones that you already have in place. So in this particular example, we can imagine we have senior tax managers. Maybe we even want to define it to, the New York metro area. So you'll see this additional tab for your license compliance rules. And this is where you're going to be able to select the specific credential set that members of this group are required to have. And so whether, again, it's a CPA license, a certification, a professional membership, or an internal firm specific requirement, you're able to set this up and define this, and make this really explicit based on that particular population so that it's trackable and easier to govern. Once that policy is active, you're able to see that LCvista is going to go ahead and identify exceptions. If the professional is missing a required license, has an expired license, or they don't even have the expiration date in place, we're going to go ahead and note that, track that, and then we're going to trigger an incident of non-compliance. So what that is going to do is essentially issue for you an approval request for the user. So in addition to kind of what you see here in terms of widgets on the dashboard, there's certainly notifications that go along with that as well, right? So as an admin, you're able to come in and configure all the different types of notifications that you might want to go out, determine sort of your level of escalation, so that you can also determine if you want to copy a supervisor or a manager as things might need to escalate. But this is really going to prompt your professionals to log in and go ahead and resolve that incident. Again, this is going to look very similar to the approval request workflow. So as an admin, I can come in and I can see that a number of these license compliance requirements have issued a jurisdiction approval request. These are system generated. They're going out to all the folks that don't meet those explicit requirements that we put into those groups. And then as an end user, I'd be able to see those, add the necessary information, whether it's documentation for a renewal, adding a missing expiration, or simply adding that I actually have a necessary certification or credential that I need to have in place in order to practice or in order to be compliant with my firm policy. All of this is managed within LCvista. And then certainly reporting, right? You want to be able to track. So whether that's looking at, open incidents, being able to audit really the entire history of that workflow, so that you can look at your notifications sent, and then looking at an aging report so you can see kind of where things might be getting stuck and what needs escalation or attention. So this is some of really what the Credential Policy Manager will allow you to do, really making things automated, auditable, trackable, explicit, and certainly addressable directly within one system. So no more manual tracking, no more spreadsheets, no more kind of one-off follow-ups. Everything becomes scalable and predictable. All right, let's see if I can pull up the right slide again. I did it. Okay. So that's kind of what we're talking about when we talk about governance. And then really the third area for Plus is around insight. We know that based on all of the data that we see in the interviews we've done, and the analytics that we've pulled, you as admins are repeatedly and often answering the same questions every month using report exports, pivot tables, or external BI tools. And those questions are usually really familiar, right? How much training has been completed? Which sponsors or providers are being used or alternatively are not necessarily being utilized? Are evaluations actually uncovering issues that we need to act on? What are the trends, the hotspots, the outliers? Are learning plans on track? What groups might be falling behind? So the dashboards, the data visualizations, and the insights in Plus are really designed to make those answers easier to access, easier to share, and then certainly easier to act on. So our goal here is to surface a number of these common learning and compliance indicators visually without requiring you to build those reports and analysis, from scratch every month. So I'm going to pull this up in a little bit more detail. Again, demo screen. But we'll pull this up here just so you can see what we're talking about. So in this example, we're looking at engagement, and we've got visualizations breaking down completed sessions by dimensions like delivery method or sponsor or field of study or program. The goal that we're really trying to support here is to help you answer key questions. Are you getting value from your content providers and the contracts and subscriptions that you have? How much of your learning is firm developed versus third party? Where are people actually learning? Is it self-study or live or webinar? What other formats? What's working well? What's not? Do you have the right mix? What subject areas are your professionals consuming? And is that aligned with your firm priorities and really the practice mix that you have in place? What are your highest volume programs? And how does this compare to last year? So this is some of what we've got in place for the engagement insights. And we're also in final stages for data visualizations around evaluations and learning plans as well. We want to be able to give you clear visibility into where things are working, where things actually might need some attention, and then where this learning activity is supporting your firm priorities. And then I'll just put a quick plug in that soon, I think next week, or if not this week, when you log in to LCvista, you might see a prompt to take a survey and share some feedback on these additional visualizations. And we'd love to get your feedback, so keep an eye out for that. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to hand it back to Mike to really bring this together and talk about what this means for the broader value of Plus.
Awesome. Thanks for the demos there, Laura. Really exciting. And so, hopefully for the audience out there, I hope you can see the way that we're intentionally delivering Plus for you to help you elevate your L&D impact, right? And so with some specific things that we're looking to address there. So certainly, helping you deliver more capacity to support firm growth without adding headcount. Whether that's through the new automation capabilities, whether that's through really having standardized governance processes for licensure and certification, or through more data. I think we really hope this gives you more capacity. Certainly on the second bullet here, consistent, predictable processes across the firms. That's really what the credential policy manager is seeking to solve for you. So you can manage really license and certification with the same depth of management as you are with CPE for existing LCvista customers. Thirdly, especially with the dashboards, clear visibility so you can make quicker decisions, more confident decisions, reduce risk, continually improve the programs you're delivering for the firm. And all that together, really creating more time for all of you to deliver on those high value development initiatives. We know there's a lot changing in the marketplace right now in terms of how firms are utilizing AI, how that's transforming their businesses, how many firms are creating CAS practices and having developed those teams, finding new ways to help elevate those emerging partners into the partnership to continue driving more revenue and business for the firm. So hopefully what you're seeing here with Plus is really that next step in the operating system to be able to deliver all of that for your firms, all using your LCvista foundation. So I saw a couple of questions in the chat that I believe Erica addressed, but if we love to open it up to questions on the Q&A. If we go on to the next slide, we can just sit on that for a little bit there. As Laura mentioned, there's a Q&A option at the bottom of the Zoom here. So if you want to just pop any questions you might have in there, and then we'll tackle as many as we can.
And if you're not able to find the Q&A, you might be able to see it in the three-dot more menu, depending on how your screen is laid out.
Cool. I'll send this for, oh, Erica just came off mute.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Laura, I actually received some questions personally, so I'm wondering if I can ask you.
You got it.
All right. First question I received, how is the new credential management capability better than the way that they are tracking licenses and certifications in LCvista today?
That's a great question. So right now, today in LCvista, you have a lot of support for tracking licenses and certifications, right? You can track expiration dates, you can send notifications for renewals and expirations, but really what the credential policy manager is designed to do is to go further and help you manage those policy requirements behind the credential, not just the credential record itself. So this way, right now you can see when something is coming due, but we want to be able to help you define and monitor really what needs to happen to keep that credential in good standing. So I think that's kind of one way to think about it.
Amazing. Thank you. And I do have a couple more that I received in case, just so we can give others a couple of minutes to access the Q&A, if that's okay.
Yeah.
One other one I received, why is the LinkedIn Learning integration so special? What makes it different?
So what makes it really different is thanks to firms like all of you. That's what makes it different. So because of really your advocacy and championing the need for this, we were able to work directly with LinkedIn Learning to develop an integration that is unique to the needs of the accounting profession, so that we're able to discriminate and determine when NASBA CPE worthy content has been completed, that that credit is being issued appropriately. And I think that's really a key part of this particular integration. In addition to kind of what you would find with, a typical integration in terms of content, syncing, catalog syncing, SSO launching, all of that. But really, this is about having that accounting specific expertise really woven into the platform so that you can rely on that. Hopefully that helps answer the question.
Amazing. Thank you. And one last one. I know we touched on this in the beginning, but this question was, what are our plans for foundational LC Vista capabilities outside of Plus?
Yeah, that's a great question. Hopefully you can see that we are continuing and will continue to invest heavily in the core LCvista platform. So we have Plus for customers who need advanced capabilities around scaling, governance, automation, but our core product remains central to our roadmap, our long-term product strategy. We're always looking at ways to make LCvista easier to use, to make it more reliable, more efficient, and those improvements both for administrators, for learners, around things like search and reporting, compliance workflows, integration, performance, scalability, you name it. That's always going to be a core part of what we do.
Perfect. And we did have one Q&A come in that's really great. For the governance portion, assuming we main the credential policy manager, is the module built into LCvista Plus already, or is that currently being built for later integration?
That is currently in development. So you had the pleasure of seeing some currently in development screens that luckily didn't error out. But yeah, that is actively being worked on for availability in the coming months.
Perfect. And question from Joanne. Will the dashboard for users have any KPI info of their own data?
I think I might need to understand that one a little bit more. If the
Okay.
question is, are you able to, customize specifically what's in the dashboard, or where is that data getting pulled in from? Um, Really, I think all of that is, part of the evolution of dashboarding. But initially, we're really taking kind of those most commonly asked and answered questions of reporting, surfacing those through visualizations. Moving forward, we'll look to ways to really filter that down to managed users. So that is more relevant to, what a supervisor or a manager needs to see. And then we'll continue building upon that.
Perfect. And Joanne, we can follow up with you following this as well, in case we didn't address your question. All right. Additional one from Emily. Is there a reason LinkedIn Learning integration is handled differently other than the API integrations like Becker?
Yeah, so I think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. It was we needed to build this integration in a unique way, because LinkedIn Learning out of the box, their integration does not support CPE compliant and NASBA worthy content in terms of tracking those completions accurately. So this was really a different animal than other, content provider integrations that we currently offer and support.
Okay, and I believe we have some more questions accessed via the CIO link. So let me get access to those.
Thank you, Erica.
Mhm. Okay, we have a great question. Will there be options to share insight dashboards with identified members of leadership, or is this for only admins?
That's a great question. So initially, we will have the ability for you to easily export those dashboards and visualizations so you can more easily share those with, external stakeholders who aren't necessarily going to log into LC Vista. But we really want to hear from you. We want to understand what you're looking for and what you need so that we can continue to build out these features and capabilities in a way that
Okay, thank you.
support those needs. And then, of course, like everything, LC Vista has so many granular permissions and roles. So we'll also have the permission associated with access to these insights, so you can determine who else should have access. So it won't just be default only for default admin.
Right, thank you. We do have a couple more. One additional Is the functionality for applying the 50-minute credit calculation for non-CPE courses outside LinkedIn Learning available?
Not at this time.
Okay. And second one, here we go. Does
But,
Plus support better reporting? Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say, please let us know. We want to know, how are you looking to use it? This is a great time to go to the ideas portal, and please share your feedback. How might you want to be able to use it so we can understand how we can expand this? Sorry, go ahead, Erica.
No, no problem. Does Plus better support reporting capabilities? Can we create more complex and individualized reports, or is this specific to dashboards?
I think really the answer to that is that the vision for building out our data visualizations is to then be able to support those more complex reporting requirements, right? So that once we've got, you have access to those, charts and dashboards, being able to then drill into the data, where that's kind of the evolution of where we're going to take that next. So certainly we understand it's more than just kind of looking at a chart.
And then a great question from Winnie in Q&A. Will current LCvista features be scaled back?
No. No current LCvista features will be scaled back. We are still pushing ahead on continuously improving the core LCvista platform.
Thank you. And question from CIO Q&A. These are great current enhancements, but where does Plus features look to grow over the next few years?
That's a great question. I think we're going to continue focusing on those three pillars. That's where we've seen, you know, where we can help teams grow, and do more without scaling headcount. So I think that's going to continue to be the focus. And again, across those areas of deeper integrations with Conferences IO, looking to continue to expand on the types of insights and dashboards that you have access to, thinking about further about what automations really support that goal. We'll continue down that road.
Great, thank you. And then last question that I'm seeing here in the CIO question says, I'm very new to the position in the world of accounting. Is there a foundational place to get high-level insight of all of this?
Well, welcome. Welcome to this community. And then Erica, I think you're probably best to answer that.
Yeah, so we have, oh goodness, I think a combination of over 42 years plus experience combined in the accounting space. We would be more than welcome to invite you to connect with our compliance team so that we can give you some great materials and starting points. But first, welcome. It's a fun space to be in. And that is it for the CIO questions. I don't see any more in the Q&A.
Erica, I see one at the bottom of the chat. I'll just read it out. Was the update to the email links in LCvista part of a recent enhancement, and can you provide more detail on that feature?
Melissa, I'm thinking what you're referring to is on the, hopefully, if you're speaking to kind of on that user page, selecting that user's email. What that's doing now is opening a modal so that you have the ability to send a one-off ad hoc email. So that's really where we're starting there, and we'll provide additional access throughout the platform so that if you do need to send an email really outside of the standard, templated notifications we have, we've heard this request so much from our customers over time. Hey, I just need to be able to send someone information. You didn't do your pre-work, or we need you to know this thing, and you don't have a notification template for it. That's what that's going to be able to allow you to do. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Great.
All right, well, I think we're coming up on time, Mike. So I'm going to move us to the next slide and let you talk about next steps.
Sure. Yeah. So next up. So thanks so much, everybody, for your engagement throughout the webinar. If you're curious and you want more information, check out our website. So if you go to lcvista.com, you'll see at the top there's a banner announcing Plus because it's relatively new. So you can click through on that link in that banner and learn more about Plus. Although I think it'll be hard to beat Laura's demo right there. We'll kind of summarize the details of what Plus is all about. If you have questions, if you're curious about upgrading or have specific pricing questions, certainly reach out to your account manager to talk through those. If you're new to LC Vista and you have questions, you can reach out to Amanda Hollingsworth. You can see her email address right there. Or if you're a customer and you're not sure who to reach out, then certainly reach out to Amanda and she'll point you in the right direction. Laura mentioned, at some point next week, you'll see for existing customers a prompt in-app for a survey she's doing. You will also receive a second survey, many of you in email, either later this week or next week, which is thinking about, well, what's next after Plus? What more can we do to help you elevate what you're doing in terms of L&D within your firms and really deliver for firm success? So with that, I think that's a wrap. If we move to our final slide.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining, for engaging, for asking questions. Please continue to reach out. We want your feedback. We want to hear how we can continue to partner with you and improve the platform, but have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.